There is a reason most people are broken long before life delivers its hardest blow. It is not because they lack intelligence. It is not because they were denied all opportunity. It is not even because they have suffered more than others. It is because they never learned to govern the one thing from which all achievement, all endurance, and all peace must begin. They never learned to govern their own mind. That is the truth you must face if you wish to become stronger than circumstance. The world has trained you to watch events, to fear conditions, to blame timing, to measure yourself by appearances, and to let your confidence rise and fall with whatever happens outside you. But the people who become powerful do not live that way. They understand that outer events may influence them, but they do not have the right to rule them. They understand that the greatest defeat is not the hardship itself. It is the habit of meeting hardship with a mind already trained for surrender. Most people lose the battle in private. They are defeated in their own thoughts before they ever reach the field of action. They think in terms of fear, then wonder why they hesitate. They rehearse disappointment, then wonder why they expect defeat. They dwell on insults, delays, losses, criticism, and uncertainty until the mind begins to accept these things not as passing conditions, but as permanent truths. Then they call this attitude realism. It is not realism. It is mental submission. If you would build an unbreakable, positive mental attitude, you must begin by rejecting the childish idea that positivity means pretending life is easy. A positive mental attitude is not a smile pasted over anxiety. It is not the habit of repeating pleasant phrases while inwardly trembling. It is not denial. It is not emotional makeup. It is not a weak refusal to see difficulty. True positive mental attitude is a form of mental strength. It is the trained ability to remain directed, disciplined, and constructive in the presence of difficulty. It is the power to stand inwardly where you have chosen to stand, even when outer conditions urge you to collapse. That kind of attitude is not inherited. It is developed. It is built deliberately through thought, through repetition, through self-control, through purpose, through faith, through chosen interpretation, and through action. This is why one person is crushed by criticism, while another is clarified by it. This is why one person meets delay and falls into doubt, while another meets delay and becomes more determined. This is why one person uses adversity as an excuse to withdraw, while another uses adversity as a summons to grow. The event does not decide the man. The man decides the meaning of the event, and from that meaning his response is formed. You must understand this if you wish to stop drifting. Your life will never rise much higher than the governing tone of your mind. You cannot build a strong future with weak thoughts. You cannot create peace while entertaining chaos. You cannot build confidence while feeding fear. You cannot become decisive while allowing doubt to speak without opposition. Your mind is not a casual place. It is the workshop in which your future is being fashioned. Every dominant thought becomes part of the design. This is why the undisciplined mind is so dangerous. Left alone, it does not remain neutral. It moves downward. It magnifies threat. It leans toward fear. It remembers insult more readily than blessing. It grows weary more quickly than it grows faithful. It absorbs the emotions of the crowd. It borrows the pessimism of the hour. It accepts repeated suggestion, then calls it identity. It begins as mood, becomes habit, and ends as character. Most people never notice this process because it happens quietly. No trumpet announces the corruption of attitude. It happens in small permissions. You permit yourself to complain. You permit yourself to exaggerate a setback. You permit yourself to speak as though one disappointment has settled the whole future. You permit yourself to dwell on what another person said, on what went wrong, on what may never happen, on what might be lost. Gradually, the mind becomes a place where weakness speaks with authority. Then one day you look at your life and wonder why your courage is so fragile, why your confidence disappears under pressure, why you begin enthusiastically and lose force the moment conditions become unfavorable. The answer is not mysterious. The answer is that your mind has been trained, whether by you or against you. And if it has been trained wrongly, it can be trained again. This is where self-control enters. Self-control is not a minor virtue. It is one of the master principles of power. The person who cannot direct his own thoughts cannot direct his life for very long. He may have talent, but talent without control becomes wasted energy. He may have desire, but desire without control becomes frustration. He may have opportunity, but opportunity without control becomes confusion. A mind governed by panic cannot build wisely. A mind governed by resentment cannot influence well. A mind governed by fear cannot act with force. So your first task is not to conquer the world. It is to reclaim your own mental territory. You must decide that your mind is no longer available for occupation by every passing fear, every dark suggestion, every discouraging opinion, every temporary appearance. If you do not rule it, something else will. The doubt of others will rule it. The memory of old pain will rule it. The noise of the age will rule it. The moods of the day will rule it. Fear will gladly accept the throne the moment you leave it vacant. That is why thoughts must be taken seriously. Thoughts are causes. Thoughts mixed with feeling become forces. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs shape expectations. Expectations govern behavior. Behavior produces results. Then the results seem to confirm the belief that created them. This is the hidden circle within which millions live. They keep asking life for different results while protecting the same inner causes. An unbreakable positive mental attitude begins when you interrupt that circle at its source. It begins when you stop treating every thought as truth. It begins when you stop bowing before your first reaction. It begins when you ask, with force and honesty, what you are allowing your mind to become. You must stop asking only what is happening to you and begin asking what you are doing with what is happening. That question changes everything. The answer leads directly to one of the greatest laws of mental strength. Your attitude cannot remain powerful unless it is fastened to a definite purpose. Without purpose, positivity becomes fragile. It becomes a mood. It becomes decorative. It becomes the kind of thing a person can speak about on a good morning and forget by evening. But when your mind is tied to a definite aim, something changes. You are no longer reacting to life at random. You are organizing your inner world around a chosen direction. This is why definiteness of purpose is so important. It gives the mind a center. It gives suffering a test. It gives delay a context. It gives sacrifice a meaning. A person with no definite purpose is easy prey for discouragement because every obstacle feels personal and every interruption feels final. But the person who knows what he is moving toward can endure much more. He does not measure life only by present comfort. He measures it by whether he is still advancing toward what he has decided matters. You must ask yourself plainly, what is my life being organized around? Not what excites me for a moment, not what impresses other people, not what sounds noble when spoken aloud. What do I truly mean to build, become, create, contribute, or master? What is worthy of my years? What is so important that I must become stronger in order to serve it? Until you answer that question, Your attitude will always be vulnerable to small disturbances. Once you begin to see your purpose more clearly, write it. Put it into words. Strip it of vagueness. Force it out of wish and into decision. Read it in the morning before the noise of the day invades your mind. Read it at night before sleep hands your thoughts to the subconscious. Read it not as a dry ritual, but as a deliberate act of mental alignment. You are teaching your mind what it is for. You are giving your imagination a target. You are gathering scattered force into one direction. This is not fantasy, it is organization. The mind performs better when it knows what it serves. Purpose reduces inner argument. It steadies emotion. It helps you interpret experience more intelligently. When you know what you are after, you are less likely to mistake every obstacle for a verdict. You begin to ask better questions. You begin to ask not merely, why is this happening, but how can this be used? Not merely, why was I delayed, but what is this delay demanding from me? Not merely, why did this hurt, but what strength is this pain trying to call forth? That is the beginning of a powerful attitude, not the absence of trial, but a new interpretation of trial. Yet purpose alone is not enough. It must be joined to faith. And faith, rightly understood, is not soft wishing. It is not empty religious language. It is an active state of mind. It is the refusal to abandon your inner position before visible evidence has caught up with your effort. It is the discipline of holding to a constructive expectation while the outer world still appears incomplete. It is confidence in law, in process, in cause and effect, in the truth that right thought, joined with right action, will, in time, produce its result. Without faith, your attitude will collapse the first time conditions turn unfavorable. You will speak well while things move smoothly, then lose force the moment life contradicts your timetable. You will call yourself positive only while results are visible. But that is not mental strength. That is dependence on appearances. A strong, positive mental attitude can endure a season in which the evidence is not yet in its favor. It can continue through criticism. It can continue through uncertainty. It can continue through silence, through delay, through temporary defeat. It does not call defeat permanent simply because it feels painful. It does not conclude that the way is closed because the first attempt failed. It does not interpret one dark hour as the permanent climate of life. Faith gives the mind staying power. It lets you stand inwardly before you can yet stand outwardly. It keeps you from surrendering to the tyranny of the present moment. It allows you to say, this has not yet yielded, but it will not rule me. This has not yet improved, but I will not meet it with inner collapse. I do not yet see the full shape of the answer, but I will not poison my own future with disbelief. This, too, must be practiced. And here you come to another law that must never be ignored. The subconscious mind is always listening. It is taking record of your dominant thoughts. It does not weigh them with reason the way the conscious mind sometimes can. It accepts repeated emotional suggestion and begins acting upon it. If you repeatedly tell yourself that nothing works, that life is unfair, that you are too late, too weak, too damaged, too unlucky, the subconscious takes this as instruction. It begins to organize feeling and behavior around those commands. It strengthens hesitation. It weakens initiative. It prepares you for retreat. But the same law can work in your favor if you begin to feed the subconscious mind thoughts of purpose, courage, self-command, usefulness, endurance, faith, and expectancy. And if you repeat these thoughts with conviction, a different inner structure begins to form. You do not become a different man in 1 hour, but you do begin changing the governing pattern of your mind. You recover more quickly. You think more clearly. You feel less easily thrown. You notice possibility sooner. You act with more inner unity. This is the law behind autosuggestion. It is not magic. It is mental conditioning. You must stop using words carelessly against yourself. Every time you say, "I always fail," "Nothing ever changes," "I can't handle this," "People like me never get ahead," you are not merely describing a mood. You are instructing your inner world. You are assisting in the construction of your own weakness. Many people speak defeat so often that it begins to feel honest to them. But repetition does not make falsehood true. It only makes it familiar. You must learn to answer those old suggestions with deliberate statements of power and direction. Not foolish boasts, not emotional theater, clear commands, statements that return the mind to law. You may say, "I control my own thoughts." You may say, "No condition has the right to master me inwardly." You may say, "This difficulty contains instruction." You may say, "My purpose is stronger than this mood." You may say, "I refuse to form permanent conclusions from temporary conditions." You may say, "I will persist until I extract strength from this experience." Say such things when you do not feel them. Say them especially then. The mind is not reconditioned only in comfort. It is reconditioned in the moment of contradiction. When fear arises and you answer it with truth, you weaken fear's authority. When discouragement speaks and you refuse agreement, you strengthen self-command. When the old story appears and you do not feed it, you begin the long work of starving a false identity. This is how an unbreakable attitude is forged, not in applause, but in resistance. Adversity, therefore, must be understood differently. Most people hate adversity chiefly because they misread it. They look only at the wound, the inconvenience, the humiliation, the uncertainty, the fatigue, the loss. They never ask what the event is exposing, correcting, demanding, or preparing. They see only interruption. They do not see instruction. And because they do not see instruction, they receive from adversity only pain and none of its profit. Yet the lives of strong men and women teach the same lesson again and again. Ease seldom builds depth. Comfort seldom sharpens resourcefulness. Resistance develops force. Difficulty compels thought. Disappointment strips illusion. Delay tests faith. Reversal reveals character. That which the weak man uses to justify retreat, the strong man uses to educate his power. This does not mean you must enjoy pain. It means you must stop wasting it. When adversity enters your life, do not let the first question be, "Why me?" Let it be, "What now?" What must I learn? What weakness has this exposed? What discipline does this require? What false dependence is being removed? What faculty have I neglected that must now be developed? A setback can make you bitter, but it can also make you accurate. It can remove vanity. It can reveal careless habits. It can expose your need for greater patience, more skill, deeper faith, cleaner thinking, firmer discipline. Temporary defeat is one of life's harshest but most useful teachers. The average person sees only the humiliation. The stronger person studies the message. He does not deny the sting, but he does not kneel before it. He knows that one defeat need not become identity. He knows that one misstep need not be made sacred. He knows that one closed door may save him from a lesser life if he has the patience to keep moving. This must become your attitude. Whatever your present struggle may be, financial pressure, a broken relationship, professional disappointment, inner confusion, lost confidence, emotional exhaustion, regret over wasted time, the law is the same. If you permit the event to define you, it weakens you. If you require the event to instruct you, it strengthens you. If you brood over it, it poisons you. If you use it, it begins to serve you. But you will never use adversity well unless you develop emotional discipline. This is where many fail. They may understand the principle in calm moments, yet when disturbed, they surrender instantly to reaction. They exaggerate. They dramatize. They let one unpleasant moment become the whole meaning of the day. They speak inwardly as though a passing disappointment has exposed the permanent structure of reality. You must stop doing that. The first feeling may arise quickly, but the second thought must come under your control. You may feel fear, but fear need not be made your advisor. You may feel anger, but anger need not be made your judge. You may feel disappointment, but disappointment need not be made your prophet. Between what happens and what you become because of what happens, there is a space. In that space, self-command must be exercised. This means learning to pause before interpretation hardens into belief. When something disturbs you, ask yourself what you are saying about it. Ask whether the story is accurate. Ask whether it is helping you. Ask what a stronger mind would make of this same event. Ask what response preserves dignity, direction, and power. These questions do not remove hardship, but they stop hardship from immediately corrupting your thinking. Such moments decide more of life than people know. And because life is daily, your attitude must be daily as well. No great mental state can be built on occasional inspiration. A powerful attitude is a result of repeated practice. It is a product of what you do in ordinary hours. It is shaped in the morning when you either begin with purpose or begin with drift. It is shaped in small conversations, in private reactions, in what you read, in what you repeat, in how you speak to yourself, in whether you honor your own promises. Do not underestimate the importance of environment. The mind takes color from its surroundings. You become, in part, the mental companion of the voices you hear most often. If you expose yourself constantly to complaint, outrage, gossip, cynicism, comparison, and confusion, do not be surprised when your own attitude weakens. You are feeding weakness and expecting strength. It cannot be done. You must become selective. Guard the gate of your mind. Choose reading that enlarges thought. Choose voices that strengthen courage, discipline, clarity, and faith. Choose companionship that respects purpose. Reduce the influence of those who make weakness sound sophisticated. Reduce your exposure to what inflames envy, stirs useless agitation, or keeps the mind fixed on trivial things. A strong life requires a strong mental diet. Still, input alone will not save you. Inspiration without action becomes another form of self-deception. Many admire discipline while living undisciplined lives. They enjoy powerful ideas, but they do not obey them. This creates a dangerous split within the personality. The mind begins to lose respect for the self. Every promise broken to yourself is a vote against your future authority. Every act of unnecessary avoidance teaches the mind that discomfort is to be feared. Every postponed duty weakens self-trust. So if you want an unbreakable attitude, you must prove strength to yourself through action. Do not merely say you are disciplined. Rise when you said you would rise. Do the hard task before the easy one. Finish what you began. Keep your word in small things. Return the call you have avoided. Have the conversation you have delayed. Sit down to the work even when enthusiasm is absent. Hold your tongue when irritation tempts you to waste energy. These acts may seem small, but they are not small to the subconscious. They are evidence. They are identity in motion. The mind believes what it sees you do repeatedly. This is why confidence does not come first. Evidence comes first. Action comes first. You do not wait until you feel strong to act strong. You act in accordance with principle, and from repeated action, the feeling of strength begins to grow. The person with an unbreakable positive mental attitude is not a person who always feels elevated. He is a person who has trained himself to move rightly even when his feelings lag behind. That is one reason so many remain unstable. They worship mood. They ask their feelings for permission before they act. But feelings are not always wise. They are often echoes of habit, fatigue, memory, fear, or appearance. If you follow them blindly, they will lead you in circles. A mature mind learns to respect feeling without surrendering to it. It uses thought, purpose, and discipline to govern emotion, not the other way around. Reflection is therefore essential. If you never examine yourself, you will keep repeating the same weaknesses under different names. At the end of the day, ask where your attitude held and where it failed. Ask what disturbed you and why. Ask what fear spoke most loudly. Ask where you were strong. Ask where you indulged weakness. Ask what the day was trying to teach you. This is not meant to produce self-contempt. It is meant to produce self-knowledge. You cannot direct what you refuse to observe. A few minutes of honest reflection each day can save years of unconscious repetition. It turns experience into instruction. It helps you notice patterns before they harden into fate. It makes tomorrow more deliberate than today. Without reflection, many people live mechanically. With reflection, you begin to live intelligently. And do not neglect gratitude. Properly understood, gratitude is not sentimental softness. It is a discipline of perception. Fear narrows the mind. Gratitude widens it. Fear fixes attention upon what is missing. Gratitude reminds you what remains. Fear tells you that one trouble is the whole picture. Gratitude restores proportion. It forces the mind to recognize strength, supply, help, opportunity, instruction, beauty, and usefulness even in seasons that are not easy. You should make gratitude specific. Be grateful not only for comfort, but for capacity. Be grateful for the chance to correct yourself while time remains. Be grateful for work that calls forth your strength. Be grateful for the lesson inside disappointment. Be grateful that hardship can still be converted into wisdom if you refuse to waste it. Gratitude does not deny pain. It prevents pain from becoming the only thing you see. Then there is persistence. No positive mental attitude can become unbreakable without it. Many can be constructive for an hour. Some can be disciplined for a day. Fewer can remain so through repeated contradiction. That is why their strength breaks. It has never been hardened. Persistence hardens attitude into character. It teaches the mind that delay is not disaster. It teaches the will that difficulty is not a command to retreat. It teaches the emotions that they are not sovereign. It trains you to keep faith with your purpose when visible reward is absent. Every time you continue rightly after disappointment, you add steel to your inner life. There will be days when your mind feels heavy. There will be days when faith seems quiet, when progress is slow, when results are hidden, when old habits feel near, when the road appears longer than you expected. On such days, do not ask yourself for brilliance. Ask for loyalty. Return to the purpose. Return to the right thought. Return to the next duty. Return to self-command. Return to the refusal to surrender inwardly. Even a difficult day can become a day of victory if you do not give your mind away. This is what the weak never understand. Strength is not built only on your finest mornings. It is built on the ordinary afternoon when you could have drifted and did not. It is built on the evening when you could have surrendered to discouragement and refused. It is built in the repeated decision to stand where principle tells you to stand. That is why you must stop expecting a powerful attitude to mean the absence of conflict. You may still feel fear. You may still know uncertainty. You may still feel weary, disappointed, frustrated, even wounded. The difference is not that these things never visit you. The difference is that they do not become ruler. You feel them without kneeling to them. You acknowledge them without making them king. You keep your hand on the wheel. And if you do this long enough, something remarkable begins to happen. The mind that once panicked begins to steady. The mind that once exaggerated begins to see clearly. The mind that once obeyed fear begins to question it. The mind that once expected defeat begins little by little to expect progress. You become harder to shake. You recover faster. You waste less energy in complaint. You become more creative under pressure. You begin to carry yourself with a quiet authority because you know you are no longer at the mercy of every passing mood. This is not theatrical strength. It is real strength. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is not dependent on the praise of others. It is built inwardly where no crowd can see it while it is being formed. But once formed, it shows in everything. It shows in the way you think, in the way you speak, in the way you work, in the way you endure, in the way you decide, in the way you suffer without losing dignity, in the way you keep going without bitterness. And this, finally, is the point. Positive mental attitude is not merely about feeling better. It is about becoming stronger. It is about building a mind fit to carry a greater life. A weak mind cannot carry a great purpose for long. A fearful mind cannot produce bold action consistently. A drifting mind cannot build destiny. Therefore, the training of your attitude is not secondary. It is central. The day must come when you stop asking whether life will be easier and begin asking whether your mind will be stronger. The day must come when you stop negotiating with your weakness and begin disciplining it. The day must come when you realize that the future will be determined less by the force of circumstance than by the quality of your inward response to circumstance. The day must come when you take full possession of the one kingdom you can rule completely, the kingdom of your own mind. Begin there. Begin now, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when confidence arrives. Begin with the next thought you allow. Begin with the next interpretation you choose. Begin with the next promise you keep. Begin with the purpose you write down. Begin with the old lie you refuse to repeat. Begin with the fear you challenge instead of feeding. Begin with the decision that from this day forward, your mind will not remain a place where weakness speaks without opposition. You were not made to live as the servant of every passing mood. You were not made to be thrown from side to side by appearances. You were not made to let discouragement think for you. You were made to direct thought, to discipline emotion, to act with courage, to persist with faith, and to organize your life around a purpose worthy of your power. That is how an unbreakable, positive mental attitude is built. Not in one dramatic promise, not in one emotional moment, not in one day of inspiration. It is built in repeated mastery, in guarded thought, in controlled interpretation, in purposeful repetition, in chosen association, in disciplined action, in the refusal to let adversity go to waste, in daily persistence, in faith held steady under pressure. Build that, and you will have built more than confidence. You will have built command. You will have built character. You will have built a mind that can endure, create, lead, recover, and achieve. You will have built the inner power from which all durable success must come. And once you have built such a mind, life may still test you, but it will no longer break you.